Thanks, David. Yeah, I want to definitely thank David for helping us make this work on such last notice. We wanted to get here before the caucuses for sure. So first I want to ask, how excited are you to be here today? Come on, excited to be here today? Out of the snow out there? I can't deal with that. Who all is excited to vote in 2020? Who all here is going to caucus? Okay, a little bit less. There were actually 34% that said they would be caucusing, so I hope we can bump that number up amongst you guys. So we're here as part of the MediaWise Voter Project. This is the official launch. We're going to be traveling the country and doing events like this all over the country up until the 2020 election. Like he said, my name's Alex.
And I'm Heaven Taylor-Wynn.
And we are just so excited to be here today. But before we get into why we're here, what we do, how we're going to do it, and why it's all important, I just wanted to have you look at a picture real quick. So you all know who this is, right? Yeah, so this is Greta Thunberg, a teenage climate activist, recently named Time Person of the Year. She was the one who launched the Fridays for Future that you all may have participated in over the last year. And then I want you to look at this social media post that went viral recently and a video. And I want you to think about a few things. First, I want you to think about how that makes you feel when you see that. How it makes you feel emotionally. I also want you to look at little details. Details in the video, details in the text. So it says, now I have a machine gun, ho ho ho. Not sure Greta's lefty friends will be pleased though. So it's important that you think about this because this is really sort of the overarching theme of what we're going to talk about today, what you see online, and how it may be misleading, especially going into the 2020 election. So, as I said, we're part of the MediaWise Voter Project. We are a nonpartisan project that's aimed at reaching 2 million first-time voters by the election, teaching them how to separate fact from fiction, how to get all the best information about candidates, campaigns, and issues that they care about. We're going to do that with a 4-pillar program. First, we have partnered with author John Green. Who here knows John Green? Okay. Author John Green's production company, Complexly, is going to put together a comprehensive voter guide that's going to go through way more than what we're going to talk about today. We're going to be hiring campus correspondents. That could be someone here in the crowd to be our eyes and ears on the ground and teach your fellow students what we're going to be teaching today. We're going to be doing boot camps. So we're going to be spending lots of time on campuses really digging into separating fact from fiction. And finally, and this is what I think we're all pretty excited about, is we're going to do a bus tour during college football season. So that's pretty cool. I want to say follow us on social media across all platforms at MediaWise to keep up on what we're up to. Because once that voter guide comes out, it's going to be so informative. You're definitely going to want to get your hands on that, watch all the videos, and follow the hashtag MVP2020. If you tweet about this today, make sure you use that, and then we'll probably share it. So.
All right, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do. So my name is Heaven, like he said earlier, his name is Alex, and we are from St. Petersburg, Florida. If you don't know where that is, it's 2 hours from Disney World. And these are our Twitter accounts. If you guys want to follow us, that would be really cool. We work for the MediaWise Voter Project, but initially we were working for MediaWise, where we did presentations for high schools and middle schools all across the country, and that is out of the Poynter Institute, which is a journalism school that teaches journalists and students like yourselves how to fact check. So that sounds all cool and interesting, so I know you want to see what a typical day at the office is like, right? Take a look.
Mark the dump truck in the flesh. Here comes the cootie squad. You should shut up at our party, sir. Look who's where. Oh my god. Dang, dang, diggity, dang, 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 diggity, dang, dang.
So yes, we are on TikTok, and you should follow us.
And I am wearing that exact same outfit, if you noticed.
So, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the presentation, we want to thank our friends at Facebook who made this all possible. Let me give them a hand. And also, we also have some friends from the Students Learn, Students Vote and the Campus Vote Project, as well as Complexly, who are all partnering with us to get us this information onto various college campuses like this one, and like Alex mentioned earlier, to produce the voter guide.
So why are we here today? So we talked a little bit about the importance of separating fact from fiction online during the election. So I want to run you through some stats really quickly. So between 2015 and 2018, an NYU study found that there were over 187 engagements on Instagram from Russian troll farms that were meant to disinform our voting public. 187 million. Now, that plays into this election because we have what it looks like 7 or more million first-time voters who are going to be scrolling through their Instagram feeds, seeing probably way more engagements than we saw in previous elections. And lastly, the stat that really freaks me out the most, more than half of college students don't fact-check something before they share it online. So this is a quote from the guy who actually built the retweet button on Twitter. He said, "We handed a loaded weapon to 4-year-olds." And it really has become weaponized, retweeting this information. So that's what we hope to do today. We hope to really stamp that out and make sure we're not handing a 4-year-old a loaded weapon.
So what are we gonna do today? We wanna give you guys a quick agenda so you know what you're in for. First thing, of course, the reason why you're probably all here, we're gonna chat with Tyler Oakley a little bit. Then we're gonna talk about the biggest threats, things you're gonna be seeing online on your social media feeds in 2020 as the election gets even closer. Then we're gonna arm you with the tools to fact check misinformation online, and you can probably help your friends who aren't here or your family members who are probably sharing misinformation. We're gonna arm you with the tools to stop that. And then we're gonna play a fun game of how you can spot native advertising online. Then we'll wrap it up with a discussion about AI disinformation. That's where stuff gets really, really scary and kind of interesting. So we're gonna kick it off. You might have watched him on YouTube. You might have listened to him on his podcast, Cycle Babble. You might have read his New York Times best-selling book. Our friend Tyler Oakley is gonna come chat with us for a little bit. Give him a hand.
Woo! Hello. Hi. Hi, friends. What up? It's cold here. What are y'all doing? Hi. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm alive. Thank you for having me. I live in LA, and it was a fun little field trip to come over here. I got to wear winter boots.
I
Thanks.
definitely connect with that. I'm from Florida.
Look at us.
I need a beach and I need some palm trees. So.
Word.
So Tyler, we're obviously so excited to have you here, right? Aren't we? Right?
She goes, yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about why you've partnered with MediaWise and why you're so excited to be a part of the project?
Yeah, so close your eyes. Remember in 2016 when everything was hopeful? It feels like it's been 7 decades since then, and it's been so much information every single hour of every single day. And I just remember the feeling of campaigning in the last election and feeling like everything was going well, as my voice cracks. And now going into the 2020 election, one thing that I think I've found is the more people know, the more people are educated, the more people understand the difference between fact and fiction, the better we're all gonna be. Especially when thinking about our friends and our family. I think about my family members who post things on their social media accounts. I'm like, do you believe that? The more we hold each other accountable and the more we know how to hold ourselves accountable with facts, I think the better we're all gonna be with every single election. So going into 2020, it was super important to get involved somehow, and this was such a great way to share how everyone can kind of be better.
Absolutely, and we're so happy, like I said before, to have you here.
Thank you.
So I want to get into a little bit more about you and things that you're passionate about. So from your YouTube and your Instagram and the work that you've done, we all know you're super passionate about LGBTQ plus rights and activism and all things of that nature. So I want to know a little bit about how you go about learning about candidates who support the things that you align with.
Spoiler, I am gay. I think is what you were trying to say. The rumors are true. No, I'm just an ally, actually. Yeah, so there are so many things that could be your number one, motive for who you vote for, or a cause that you think is the most important thing. One of those for me is LGBTQ plus rights, not just in America, but around the world. Not just gay rights, like gay marriage. A lot of people think, oh, you have gay marriage. Y'all did it. There are a lot of other causes related to LGBTQ plus issues, like work discrimination, adoption rights, a lot of things. And so that is something that's really important to me. I think it gets challenging when everyone has their own number one thing. You don't have to necessarily agree with everyone on what your number one thing is, as long as you get involved in whatever way you can. So for mine, a really good way for me to figure out who's on, I guess, aligned with my viewpoints with LGBT plus rights is looking up organizations that I really respect. So one of them is the Human Rights Campaign. They often make a voter guide or give candidates or even brands scores based on how they voted in the past, their rhetoric, their benefits for their employees, for however they can interact with the LGBT plus community. They'll give a score based on their performance. And then along those lines, you can see maybe who they endorse, like outright, or the scores that they've given candidates that are even in the presidential race of their voting records for decades. So you can really see how maybe where they stand today, but also where they've stood for the last however many years they've been in office. And then based on that, really getting a sense for if they understand the issues that are really important to you. And so while LGBTQ plus stuff might be my number one thing, or one of my number one things, you can find a nonprofit or a organization that is your number one thing and see if they have stances about candidates or about proposals that are local even. One thing, I live in Los Angeles, and so I always look up the LA LGBT Center because they always do really local endorsements for like city council or school board or all the things that you're like, I don't really know. They'll do the deep digging for you in that sense, and help you understand from the perspective of what you care about, who might be aligned with you. So
Awesome.
that's what I do.
Love that. So I want to know from you all, show of hands, who has a social media account of any kind? Social media? Literally everybody, right? Of course, Tyler does too. Or what do you think?
I do.
So as we know, social media is created using algorithms, and it's always feeding us stuff that we want to see. It's always giving us the content that we like, and it's just constant, right? So what are some things that you do, and maybe our friends in the audience should consider doing to get out of our own social media echo chambers and bubbles, getting different viewpoints?
Yeah, I think that is a really great question because going into 2016, a lot of people were like, how could this go any other way? It's because we're only hearing the people we want to hear over and over. You don't really hear the exact opposite perspective on your Twitter feed because would you want to follow those people? No. But I would argue maybe you do want to follow at least people that provide the other perspective, just so you can have this, I guess, standpoint of frame of reference for even what you're arguing with or trying to understand the other side a little bit more.
Wait, you argue?
I would never argue. No. Even when you imagine going home for the holidays, sometimes you've got family members that don't necessarily agree with you. Spending some time listening to the other side helps me at least prepare to have those difficult and challenging conversations that are just sometimes an eye roll, but to know where they're coming from, it helps me formulate my own perspective. So things that I do, I'll make sure that people in my Twitter feed are maybe retweeting perspectives from multiple sides or point of views or maybe different biases. I like listening to Left, Right, and Center on NPR. They always have somebody that maybe is left-leaning and then right-leaning and then somebody that's like a little bit in the center, moderating a little bit. That way it's kind of like, it's not just me hearing my own opinions. Sometimes I'll listen to a story on NPR and I'm like, cool, I just spent 20 minutes reaffirming my own beliefs. What did that really do? So I find it a lot more helpful to listen to an actual dialogue between people that maybe don't agree. Yeah, What else do I do? What do you do?
A lot of things that you kind of said too. I will say though, on Twitter, I do follow people who I don't agree with, but they get muted a lot.
That's fair.
I do the same on Instagram too, just because it's more of a visual medium. I get to see people talking and things like that.
I mean, especially going into this election, maybe I do have candidates that I prefer, but it also is super important to me to understand all the candidates,
Right.
Especially when, as it's getting narrowed down, some of the candidates that are left over are taking policies and incorporating them into their own, what is it called, like plans from candidates that have left the field. So understanding candidates,
Like that evolution.
yeah, where people are coming from and how their ideas are merging and things like that. While there might be politicians that I'm like, I will never vote for that person, at least I'll be understanding the greater context of the political realm. That way I feel more like I understand what's going on, because it's so much to understand. It's a lot sometimes.
It's a lot. So before you go, obviously, this whole presentation is about arming people with the tools to fight misinformation online. And misinformation seems to be like ever present.
Misinformation, that could be a good drag name. Welcome to the stage.
Wait, Are
Misinformation.
you hinting at something right now?
My drag persona, season 12. Watch out.
So I want to show everybody this example of something that we see a lot. I want to know if you've seen it.
Okay. Yes! Jason Derulo, right? Yeah.
Fell down the hashtag Met Gala stairs. I can't breathe OMG.
But that's not real. Also, art pop, yes. Stream art pop now. But this is fake news, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not real. Who's seen this? Yeah.
That's funny.
You guys, right? So this is something we like to call a zombie claim.
She really dragged him. This is pop culture right here. Okay, sorry, I'm really distracted.
So this is something we call a zombie claim because it comes around every year around the Met Gala time, and it gets shared like wildfire every time, just because, like we were saying, algorithms and social media, people like to see things they like to see, right? But we've already established it's not true, but we want to see Jason Derulo tell us in his own words. Check it out.
When somebody tried to send me flying down the stairs at the Met Gala, I was actually in rehearsal in LA. The Met Gala was actually in New York, for those who don't know. Then I just thought it was hilarious. I thought it was funny. And I even thought it was a little weird though. My grandmother, she's 93 years old, and she called me and she's like, "Are you alright? I heard that you fell down the stairs." I was like, "Grandma, I'm good." I didn't fall down the stairs, but it's hilarious.
So that wasn't like the most harmful form of misinformation, right? But I'm sure his grandmother was terribly frightened, obviously.
Sure, but that's hilarious though.
Well, Tyler, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're so happy to have you. He's going to stick around a little bit, so we may have some questions at the end, but give it up for Tyler one more time.
Thank you so much. Before I go, I have a request. Do you guys want to be on my Instagram story? Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah, hold on. Technology. Okay. I'm not on the Wi-Fi, but it's oh my God, it's me and Jason Derulo. Hey. He is sexy. Okay. Lighting. Don't mind me. I can't escape Jason Derulo. Okay, whatever. I'm gonna say, so I'm here in Iowa. You're right, that is your line. And then I'm gonna turn it around and you're gonna say, woo, yeah, you're right, okay. Maybe I'll just keep Jason Derulo. Just us girls. Okay. Hey everyone, so it's me and Jason Derulo. It's me and Jason Derulo, and we're here in Iowa, and look who we're with. I fucked it up. Hold on. You know, I'm saving this though. Hey Jason. This is a mess. Okay, sorry. Also, I swore. I'm sorry. Okay. Jesus. Okay. Hey everyone, it's me and Jason Derulo, and we're here in Iowa with love. Wow, stunning. Y'all nailed it. Thank you. Okay, but I'm also gonna do a vlog moment, so sorry to do a million things. Hold on. That was practice. Now this is the real. So,
Can you hold the mic?
no, maybe, yes. No. Okay. Sorry, friends. Girl, focus. There we go. Jason. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. I don't know how to be a YouTuber. Girl. There we go. So I'm here in Iowa with Jason Derulo and... Wow. Okay, that was beautiful, thank you. So I will see you guys soon. Stay and learn a million things. Please get involved and vote. And tell your friends and family just how important it is to you. And that's all for now. Right? Okay, cool. Love you, bye.
Thank you, Tyler.
All right. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you for making me have to follow that. I feel like I'm like the Costco version of Tyler Oakley. Do you have Costco here? I don't know. Okay, you do.
But you guys
So
don't have Publix.
Yeah. No Publix.
bad.
All right. So now that we've had our Q&A with Tyler Oakley, we are going to go into the biggest threats in 2020. Before we do, I want to talk about the 3 questions that are really going to drive everything we talk about today. And the 3 questions you should ask before you share anything online, except for something Tyler posts. You can always share that. These were questions developed by our friends at the Stanford History Education Group about how fact checkers see the internet. So that's how you can make sure you are reading the internet like a fact checker. 1, make sure you're asking who's behind the information. 2, what is the evidence? And 3, also ask what are other sources saying? But there's other questions beyond that. And to get to that, I want you to watch this video and tell me how you feel.
Our culture is not imported from some African nation or some Asian nation. It's our English jurisprudential culture, our European culture.
So, any volunteers, how does that make you feel? Back there.
The sound editing is incorrect.
The sound that is incorrect. But does anyone here feel like an emotional reaction when they see that for the first time?
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable, yeah. So that's something that you need to ask yourself as well whenever you see something online that you think is a little bit suspect. Does it make me angry, emotional, anxious, uncomfortable? These are all things that drive us to share on social media. So here's the actual clip that was edited.
This is about changing the culture. Our culture. Our culture.
So in this clip, he's saying this is about changing European culture. And this was all in a discourse about how women are treated in America today and about how it came from European culture. So you can see with a little bit of clipping, this was taken out of context. And so, again, like with the questions, I would have asked who's behind the information, who is Moon Cult? And I guess it's some weird Twitter collective that posts a lot of left Twitter memes, so they probably aren't the best political observer.
So now we're going to move into the things you need to be looking out for in 2020. The first of those is going to be shitty memes and miscaptioned images. I'm sure we've all seen them, right? I'm going to read these out to you just so you know we're getting out here. So on the left we have McConnell's impeachment rules. 1, no witnesses. 2, no evidence. 3, no time. 4, no cameras. This is not a Senate proceeding, it's a criminal cover-up. And then the one on the right is shared, the one on the left was shared from like a lefter-leaning kind of page. The one on the right, Real Jack Murphy, it's a more conservative page. It says, let me get this straight. Biden blackmailed Ukraine with $1 billion in tax dollars to drop an investigation into his son, and Democrats want to impeach the president simply for asking if it was true. So the problem with this, right? Both of these are false. More than that though, we see these memes and miscaptioned images and they're so easy to share, right? It's like a simple click. Hit the little paper airplane and it goes right to your group chat, or it goes right to your friend on Instagram, or it goes right to your story if you want to share it that way. But these things are shared so quickly and easily just like that. and we don't take the time to fact check it, and they're so easy to make. Anybody can make this.
And so I'm going to play a little game really quick, get the blood moving after Tyler's awesome presentation there. So I want you to look at these two news sources here that are scrolling, and one of them is fake. If you think the one on the left is fake, I want you to raise your left hand in the air and wave it like this. If you think the one on the right is fake, do that with your right hand in the air. And if you have no idea, you can just wave both hands in the air and we will see that you are in distress. All right, go for it. Go, go, go. All right, you up front. Why do you think the one on the left is fake?
I don't know, like it seems very like clickbaity type of deal, where it's just like to grab your attention really quick by these headlines.
Yes. But it actually is really hard to tell, and you are correct. That is not a real news source. It is a fake news site that is made up of all false made-up news that's there to just mine advertising dollars. So this is the second biggest threat in this election. So there are challenges happening with local newspapers that you've probably heard about around the country. So what's happening is these false news websites are popping up to look like local news, but they're not actually local news. They're just posting false stories or old stories with new pictures, and they're there to mine your advertising dollars. But then there's also something called pink slime. Does anyone remember the whole pink slime controversy? You know what pink slime is?
Yeah.
It was like the stuff that went into chicken nuggets, but basically it's like, yeah, pretty nasty stuff. So this is technically, there is some real news in here, but it's created by a computer. It's all through an algorithm. It's a computer program that's grabbing news from like the Federal Reserve or the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and the computer is actually writing these stories. So they're not written by humans, but then what happens is a human will slip in one article that is biased one way or another to influence the way you feel about an issue, and you're gonna see a lot of this coming up in the 2020 election. And see, if I had just followed the who is behind the information and Googled who owns the Laredo Tribune, I would have come up with a BuzzFeed news article about all of these different types of sites. Laredo Tribune was the first one that came up. And then also I looked and found articles from the BBC, so I looked at what other sources were saying. So I just asked myself those three questions when I was looking at that, and I was able to suss out whether or not that was a real website I should actually be taking opinions from.
Okay, so I want to know who's seen this video of Nancy Pelosi. Show of hands. Some of you? Okay. So like back a few months ago, the one on the right went viral on a Facebook page called Politics Watchdog. But the problem was that people were spreading it and sharing it with the text that alluded to her possibly being drunk or under the influence while she's giving this public speech. The fact of the matter is that the video was simply slowed down by about 75%, and people took it and ran with it. Now you can see compared to the one on the left, which is verified by the Washington Post, that's the actual video. And this is a very simple, quick, and easy way that people manipulate video and spread a false narrative. And like I said, you can do this on your phone like in seconds with different editing apps. But when we get later into disinformation and AI, you're gonna see more various types of manipulated video, and it gets even creepier. So now we're gonna talk about how you guys can go about fact-checking this information and kind of combat the stuff that we just talked about that you're gonna be seeing in 2020. We're gonna give you some tips and tricks on how to do that. So we were talking about Greta earlier, right? You know, she's a climate activist, she's a teenager, she was named Times Person of the Year, and we saw this video of her shooting a gun, right? What's your first thoughts when you see this? Anyone want to share their first thoughts?
See your big nails, and I feel like I've never seen it. Kind of like thrown off by it, but
Yeah. She said she was thrown off by her nails. She's never seen Greta with pink nails. And I think that's a solid observation. My first thought was that I can't see her full face, so how do I even know if that's actually her? Same idea. People will take content and misassociate text with it, and it'll start to spread like wildfire. So the first tool we're going to tell you about is called the Google Fact Check Database. So what we're doing in here is typing in Greta Thunberg firing a gun. What this thing will do is it'll bust out different types of fact checks about a certain topic that you're searching or anything that you're seeing going viral. And we're going to find a fact check from our Snopes, which is a really reliable fact-checking site, and they totally dispute it. It's going to tell you that it's a miscaption and that it's not Greta at all. So all you have to do is search for keywords, look for multiple fact checks, and as a bonus tip, you wanna make sure you're exercising click restraint. That's when you don't click on the first thing that you see. I wanna know who's ever been to the third page of Google, anybody? More than I thought.
No way.
More
No
than I
way.
thought. But you wanna exercise click restraint, and that's just not clicking on the first thing that you see. If you see like 5 websites you've never heard of before, they're not necessarily unreliable, but you might wanna keep looking and digging until you find something that could be reliable that you're familiar with. You also wanna make sure tweets are real. Apparently, President Trump tweeted on January 3rd, draft starts tomorrow. Who saw this? You guys saw this? Yeah? No draft yet, right? So this was posted to a page on Facebook called Shithead Steve. He's reliable, right? I don't think so. Okay. But he's a comedy or like a humorous type of Facebook page. But the thing about this is, who's to know whether he posted this seriously or jokingly if you're not familiar with what he posts in his content? So what do we want to do to fact check this, right? Go straight to President Trump's Twitter. Simple. We know that tweet was posted on January 3rd, and Twitter's chronological. So we can just scroll through Twitter, look for January 3rd, and see if we find the tweet. I'm seeing January 2nd, January 3rd. It's really not coming up. Okay, maybe he deleted the tweet. Let's take a look. There's a tool on ProPublica called PolitiHoops, and what you can do is go on there and check out deleted tweets from various politicians. So let's look and see if it was a deleted tweet. We're gonna go down to January 3rd. Still not finding it. We're back in December. So the reason for that, it's not real. And that's the link to PolitiHoops if you want to check it out later or write it down. So you want to make sure you're looking for deleted tweets and check for the date and the chronological order. So just to show you how simple it is to make a fake tweet, again, do not do this. Do not try it at home. We're not advocating for this, but it's so easy to do. All you have to do is upload a picture, input the information that you want. We got the time, we got the date, retweet count, the like count. You can be famous if you want to make a fake tweet. All you have to do is type in Donald J. Trump, real Donald Trump, and draft starts tomorrow. Like, literally, it's that easy. This was done like in seconds. And then it'll populate the tweet. You see, just like that. Hold on, it's coming. We made that exact same tweet, right? So you can't always be sure that what you're seeing online is legitimate, especially if it's a screenshot from one social media and posted to another. So make sure tweets are real before you're sharing things. And if all else fails, go directly to the source. Like I said, we're on TikTok, so you're gonna get another TikTok and you're gonna love it.
Hey guys, there have been a ton of tweets and TikToks about a possible World War III draft, but let's get some things straight.
There's been a ton of misinformation about this. Just look at this tweet from Selective Services. So before you freak out, here's what you need to know.
Yes, it is true that every male between 18 and 25 is required to register with Selective Services.
And yes, you have to register with Selective Service to receive federal student aid.
But most importantly, if there was a national emergency that called for a draft, both Congress and the President would need to pass official legislation to authorize it. And if you have any more questions or see anything fishy, remember to always go straight to the source.
So basically what we're demonstrating there is you don't just want to take what you see at face value, just check out the Selective Service or the draft's website or Twitter, and they'll give you the information you need to know. Simple as that.
And also follow us on TikTok, okay? For more A+ content. So this is a real tweet. It just says lizard head by what looks like it might be the New York Times, possibly. So here's me scrolling through this feed. Can anyone tell me what might be wrong with what's happening here?
There's no check mark, so it's not a verified account.
Exactly. Always look for the blue check mark. Anyone else, anything weird happening with that? Very close. A hacker probably built it. It's a bot. It's a bot that basically posts every single time a word that has never appeared in print, like lizard head, appears in the New York Times. I highly recommend following it. It's very hilarious. So we're going to talk a little bit about bots. First, I'm going to have another MediaWise ambassador, Destin Sandlin, talk a little bit about the more of the dangers behind bots online.
Twitter's free. All you need is an account. And attackers are trying to manipulate Twitter by using computers to automate the sign-up process. Twitter's forced to use artificial intelligence to defend the platform because these computers never sleep and there's not enough humans to do the job. The problem is these bad guys are starting to make themselves look as authentically human as possible in order to sneak on the platform. Heck, in some cases, they are human. Add to this deception the sheer number of signups, and you can start to see how it's possible to miss some of these and let them slip past the defenses.
So yes, so you are seeing lots of Twitter bots online, and they can
Twitter's free.
they can serve a good purpose or they cannot. But it's good to be able to spot a bot online because they're the ones who are spreading, like a lot of the misinformation can start in the bot land, and they're there to magnify disinformation. They spread hashtags. So there's some really quick ways to spot a bot. They'd be posting often at its set intervals, like the New York Times, that was just, I think, 5 times a day, like clockwork. They have no followers or lots of fake followers, and they post the same stuff with lots of hashtags over and over again. That's really a dead giveaway that you're looking at a bot. But another way is to look at the little blue writing at the bottom of a tweet. Usually that will say it's sent from an Android or sent from an iPhone, but if it's sent by a computer program, it will have the name of the computer program there. So that's how you can tell that you might be looking at a tweet that came from a bot. Now, not all bots are bad. There are good bots. So I follow Big Cases bot, which every time there's a big movement in the Supreme Court, they post what happened in the case. There's also QuakeBot in Los Angeles. They have a wildfire bot. Every time there's an earthquake, it tweets about where it is and how intense it is. And then also ThreadReader, which just unrolls really, really long threads on Twitter and makes them easier to read. But like we saw in 2016, you see a lot of evil bots that are out here just spreading misinformation and amplifying disinformation online. So I'm just going to run through these real quick. If you want to write them down, these are tools that professional fact checkers use to make sure that they're not spreading information from bots. Account analysis. This will tell you how often a bot is posting. So this is one that posts King of the Hill screens over and over and over again. It has a very, very specific daily rhythm. That's how you know it's a bot. But my favorite tool is something called Hoaxy. And this is something that shows you how information is spreading and whether or not bots are spreading it. Now, I'm going to go on to something really cool. Who here watches Catfish? Anyone? So you've probably all heard of like a reverse image search, right? So this is a really powerful tool for identifying misinformation online. So once it comes to election day, you're going to see a lot of misinformation spreading. This is one that made the rounds in 2016. It was an account that's long since been deleted, so I just had to dredge up the old picture that said that ICE was arresting people at the polls. Now this is a voter suppression meme, and it was meant to basically suppress people's votes, make them not want to go to the polls if they're afraid. So for this, I did a reverse image search. For those of you who don't know what a reverse image search is, it's where you search the internet for everywhere that an image exists, and then you can find out where it came from, if it's original, and its original content. So you just simply upload the image. If you're on Instagram, you do have to screenshot it. So if you see like a weird meme or something you think isn't a legit picture, then you just screenshot that. And then it gives you all of the results of where you've seen these pictures before. So I noticed something weird. I noticed that I found a picture at CBS that looked exactly the same as that ICE picture, but there was no officer actually arresting someone. So this is also a way to find out if you're looking at doctored images, because you can find the original where it came from. Who here has seen this image making the rounds? Okay, yeah, it's an image that is shared. Actually, Rihanna shared this one that showed what looked like the Australian brush fires, and it looks like the entire country is on fire. So for this reverse image search, I use something called InVid, which is a really cool Chrome plugin. And for this, all you need to do is right-click the picture, literally, like once you install it, just right-click the picture, and it actually opens up a bunch of different reverse image searches. I just went right to the top thing and saw that this was actually a misinterpreted image. An artist made this. They used a bunch of data and images from NASA, but they all put it together. And this spread like crazy. Like I said, Brianna shared it, and it got shared like 1 million times online. You can even search Reddit for it using Karma Decay.
Okay, so now we're gonna play a game called Spot the Ad. Can I get a volunteer? Maybe one person? One brave soul? Come on. Give her a hand. friend Jordan. She's going to help us figure out what's going to be a native advertisement. Okay, so take a look at this. Watch these. We're going to play these TikToks, and I want you to tell me which one is the ad. Don't tell it.
Hey Google, where's the closest pet store? I found a pet store. Surprise!
You already forgot it, didn't you?
Happy birthday!
Bye, man.
Okay, so which one is the ad?
Oh, like an ad?
Like an advertisement. Which one? How do you know?
I don't know. It just seems like some random teenager.
I mean, TikTok is all in teenagers, right?
I mean, yeah, but they like really showed off. I don't know.
Okay, well, you're not wrong. Let's give her a hand. That would be the ad. So, if you were closer in the front, you could probably see down at the bottom in the description, it says #ad, right? So, that's typically what they have to do to disclose whether something is an advertisement or not. Thank you. Good job. Thank you so much. Give her a hand again, guys. So, yeah, on TikTok, it's going to say #ad if something's an advertisement. And how native advertisement works is that it's supposed to appear just like the regular content you're seeing. So when this first came about a few years ago, I know I was freaked out because I'm like, I don't follow them. Like, what is this about, right? But if you look at TikTok's ad policy surrounding politics, you shouldn't be seeing any political ads on TikTok because they don't allow it. Basically, what they're saying is it's not in the spirit of their platform, so you'll see other brand deals or creators using, getting sponsorships, but you're not gonna see any political ads. But that's not the case for Instagram. Okay, I wanna do a show of hands with everybody this time. So, these are both Elizabeth Warren. On the left, raise your hand if you think this was an ad. What about the right? Okay, what do you guys see? Shout it out. Sponsor. Exactly. So, say it again. Donate, exactly. So on Instagram, it's going to say sponsored, and you can donate to our campaign. And down there in the description, it says paid for by Warren for President Incorporated. And you want to be looking out for that because chances are, we were talking about echo chambers earlier and algorithms. If you follow Elizabeth Warren, or if you're interested in her content or you interact with her content, you might have seen both of these already. But it's important to know which one is the ad because people are spending a lot of money to get their ads in front of you. In fact, if you want to see how much they're spending, you can click those three dots at the top. It'll give you the contact information for their campaign. You can see the location, the targeting, and the spending of their ads. And it's important to know how much you're worth because they're spending a lot of money to get these ads in front of us. And you can see all the details on that too. So same thing, this is Bernie, both are Bernie. Which one's the ad? Raise your hand for left. Raise your hand for right. Exactly. So at the top we see sponsored again. Just like with Elizabeth Warren, if you were following Bernie on Facebook or if you liked his page, you likely would have seen both of these. The same goes for this as well. If you click the I on Facebook, you'll get all the campaign information, the location, the spending, and the targeting. Like I said, it's important to know these things because they're spending a lot of money to get our attention. Just like many of you guys, I'm also a first-time voter this year, so you want to know how much your vote is worth. Okay, this is Snapchat. Is that one playing? Oh, well, that was the ad. On the bottom right, you can see here it says ad, but on Snapchat, it's so small. But the way it works is they'll autoplay sometimes, so you want to be looking out for these things too. Oh, there it is. So Snapchat is kind of like Facebook in that they'll show you all the details of the political ads that they have. So if you want to go to that link, snap.com/political-ads, you can see their entire library of all of the advertisements that politicians are putting out there on Snapchat. And it's quite interesting. I recommend you guys go check it out.
So, I gotta ask, who all here is on Snapchat? Have you seen any political ads? No, I did an analysis last night and they're spending like $0. You have, I don't know if you raise your hand. Yeah, they're spending like nothing on Snap. I was trying to figure that out. So now we're gonna get to the really dystopian, really scary stuff that you might see in 2020. We're gonna talk about the intersection of artificial intelligence and disinformation. So I wanna start with, who here has heard of a deep fake before? Okay, for those who haven't, I'm gonna have Adele explain what a deep fake is.
Hello. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about a new technology that's affecting famous people, Remember when Obama called Trump a dipshit? Or the time Kim Kardashian rapped? Or when Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonated himself? Deepfake, deepfake, deepfake. This is a deepfake too. I'm not a dove, but I am an expert in online manipulation. So deepfakes is a term that's used to describe video or audio files that have been created using artificial intelligence.
My favorite is probably Lisa Vanderpump.
It started as a very basic face filter technology, and now it's turned into film-level CGI.
So you can see those are some pretty funny examples, and I highly recommend searching YouTube for them because they are hilarious. So video deepfakes are probably the most well-known, but there are multiple different types of deepfakes, from video to generated text to deepfaked audio, and dumbfakes and cheatfakes. So this is a deepfake that I made of David Reif, who introduced me, and I think he left the building. But this is him as Paul Rudd, and I made this in about 2 minutes, I think. Here's another deepfake of our friend Tyler Oakley as U of Iowa grad Gene Wilder in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Give it up! Yeah! Who here has actually seen that movie? Okay, good. Heaven, see, you gotta see it.
Don't drag me like that. I saw the remake.
So these are all funny examples, but you saw the Obama example come up earlier, and the problem is people are starting to use deepfakes to manipulate different politicians, and so this is something that deepfakers can do to influence how you feel about a politician, a campaign, or an issue. And right now the technology is really not that great. It's pretty easy to figure out a deepfake. Like if you see it and it looks weird, then it's probably a deepfake. But always look for like shimmering or an extra set of ears or teeth or something like that. Don't be so scared about these types of deepfakes because the technology isn't necessarily there right now. One thing that you should be a little bit scared about is something called AI-generated text. So all of these comments right here are all comments that were submitted to an Idaho website where they were trying to implement work waivers so you could get Medicaid. So you had to work to get Medicaid. So this person created 1,000 comments using artificial intelligence to seem like humans were submitting comments against this waiver. And the website accepted all of them. The guy who created it had to eventually go in and withdraw them. So the Idaho Medicaid office, they thought all of these were actually humans submitting comments. You saw this happen during the net neutrality situation. I remember net neutrality when that was all in the news. Well, there were almost 1 million comments submitted through bots that were in favor of getting rid of net neutrality. And the problem is these bots are getting better and better. So what you're seeing is the technology to influence comments under a news story or comments on Reddit, or basically steer the entire discourse during an election. So another thing that you should be worried about is audio deepfakes. So this is the same idea as video deepfakes, but it's using someone else's voice. And this technology is actually getting there. People, cyber criminals are using it to scam money from companies. They're basically stealing the voice of a CEO and calling up that company and saying, hey, I need you to deposit $250,000 in this account. So this is technology that's getting better and better. And if cyber criminals are using it, then you might see Russian disinformation actors start using it. So I'm gonna play a video real quick. So back to the question of emotion. How did that video make you feel? Like dancing? It made me cringe a little bit. Did it make anyone else there cringe? Yeah, and I immediately sent it to a bunch of different people without thinking about who was behind the information. But does anyone know the story behind this video here? So it was actually fooled a lot of brilliant political writers. So Maggie Haberman, New York Times author, White House correspondent, pro. She shared it originally. Here's her sort of backtracking and saying, hey, we didn't know it was parody. And the Washington Post TikTok guy, Dave Jorgensen, really summed up almost everything that we've talked about today when he said, I don't know what's real anymore, so I'm just going to post this screenshot. So this turned out to be a dumb fake. It was a comedian who got everyone in the audience to pretend that they were Bloomberg supporters and do this sort of dorky dance to influence how people feel about the Bloomberg campaign. So this goes with basically all of the different types of AI technology that I talked about today. The technology is always going to get better and better. But if you continue to ask yourself the 3 questions that we talked about, you can always suss it out. Who's behind the information? What's the evidence? And what are other sources saying? And then always ask, is this making me feel emotional? So if I just asked who's behind the information, not even gone on to the 2 other questions, I wouldn't have looked like a complete idiot sharing this with everyone thinking it was absolutely real. So I just merely Googled his name and found out that he was a comedian, found out it was fake. Unfortunately, it was too late for me because I'd already shared it, and that was the problem.
So if you come away from this presentation with nothing else, try your best to remember the 3 questions. Who's behind the information? What is the evidence? And what are other sources saying? Also, think about how it makes you feel. Does it make you angry, emotional, or anxious? We want to give you one more thing. Does this confirm my worldview? I was talking with Tyler earlier. We're talking about getting out of our social media and our own idea echo chambers. You want to take a step back and think, does this confirm something I already believe? Because chances are you're not going to think twice about it and you're going to immediately share it because it's something you agree with. But that's a lot of times what drives us to share things that may or may not be true. So I encourage you all to use the tips we told you today and the information we gave you to take a step back and take another thought and think about information before you share it. So again, follow us on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and use the hashtag MVP2020. All right?
Thank you so much.
Okay, so who wants to talk to Tyler? Anybody want to talk to Tyler? All right, so we're going to ask him to come back out so we can ask him some questions. Anybody?
Oh, God. Hello.
So,
Hey.
question. Okay.
Hi. What's your name? Hi, Jennifer.
Over your years on YouTube, how have you channeled comments?
How have I dealt with figuring out the comments and the Oh God. Well, I mean, for me, I try to, because I keep involved on all social platforms, I feel like I start to recognize who is part of the community and who's part of the conversation in a bigger scheme, as opposed to somebody who's just kind of swinging through because they Googled some keyword and they want to argue for no reason. Does that make sense? And also you can go to people's profiles and see what else they've been up to. So if you go to their page and you see all they do is yell at the sky like an old man, then you're like, okay, well that's what this person's up to. If you see that they're having engaged conversations and that they're actually maybe themselves on the internet, then there's probably more likelihood that that is a real person worth engaging with. So I take it case by case, but yeah, if you go to their page, I think that's the biggest indicator if this person is worth arguing with on the internet.
Also, the technology is improving, right? So it's starting to filter out some of those
Totally.
fake comments.
Yeah, YouTube now you can, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're good.
YouTube now, I have keywords that I just have muted in my comments, so if somebody calls me certain words, I'll never see it. So I'm like, yeah.
What are your thoughts on social media places like Facebook and Twitter being held accountable for having fake information
I think I would love more platforms to be held accountable for the spread of misinformation. Yeah, of course. If you're on the side of wanting the truth to prevail, I feel like who's going to argue with that? Especially because a lot of people, I think of my aunts and uncles who share things to their feed, and I'm like, in what world do you think that's true? I think yes. I would love for more platforms to step in and at least help people identify when things are being shared that are actively false. But yeah, I think in the meantime, it really is up to us to have those difficult conversations, because I often am commenting on my mom's Facebook statuses or my, whatever, whoever, and being like, hi, this isn't real, here's the fact check source, it took one Google, let me know if you have questions. I think, yeah, while it is annoying as like the kids of people who don't know how to use the internet sometimes, it is gonna change how they see the world, and that's important too.
But what's really awesome, some of our friends from PolitiFact are actually here. They're one of several third-party fact checkers who are already going in and fact checking some of the misinformation. On Facebook and Instagram too, you'll start to see it more. They're gonna start having these false information warnings, and the posts are gonna be covered up. So they're already taking steps to combat that stuff. Who else has a question? Anybody?
Hello, Brady.
Hi, my name's Emma.
Hi, Emma.
I had a quick question. I don't remember if it was 2019 or 2018. Tumblr had this whole bot situation. What are your thoughts on that? Because I remember a lot of...
Was it about porn on Tumblr or something?
A little bit, yes, but they also shut down a lot of LGBTQ sites as well because they were flagged and they weren't supposed to be flagged. What's your thoughts on that?
So is the question kind of like when algorithms start associating content that should be quote unquote banned on a platform, but it isn't necessarily inappropriate, it just is often associated with that, so the technology automatically starts to incorporate that as to what should get banned. Yeah, I think YouTube had a problem with that too, and it's obviously it negatively affects communities that I'm a part of, but even if it didn't, it is an issue, and I think YouTube did a pretty good job handling that when it did happen, and it being super candid about how they're going to review each case as humans, and they had real, actual people getting involved. I don't know what Tumblr did with that, but I think that is a problem we are facing with every platform, because so much content is being created that people can't necessarily keep up with it at the same rate maybe technology can in censoring what's against their terms of service. So yeah, I am not a CEO, so I don't know what to quote, but I appreciate that YouTube at least accepted responsibility for it. I don't know what Tumblr did. But as long as they're listening to the issue, which YouTube did, then I don't really know what else I would want from them. What do you think?
I think they handled it poorly.
YouTube?
Tumblr.
Oh, Tumblr. Yeah, I don't know the Tumblr situation.
Yeah, I think Tumblr handled it poorly and that they need to reevaluate because now not only are they associating real, actual blogs with bots and the whole problem, so now everybody's just getting completely shut out and all we're seeing is more and more bots.
Yeah, I must have missed that. I stay in my own little world on Tumblr, just like reblogging Pokemon stuff. So, like, where are the bots?
I know.
Drag me. Word. Okay, cool. I will look into that. I'll tell Tumblr you said hey, Emma. We will shut you. We will both shut you down.
Does anybody else have a question?
Hi.
Hello.
I was just wondering, since you've been on YouTube for so long, like what are
Wow, drag me again.
like what are the biggest changes that you've seen?
What's your name?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. The biggest changes I've seen on YouTube since I started, oh my god, I mean, it is such a different world now. It used to be a lot like fun and games and challenges and cinnamon and, well, like people just being idiots, and now it can be a major hellscape for young people being manipulated or yeah, there's a lot of shitty things going on, like people taking advantage of their communities or being assholes around the world and trying to just go viral, or even worse, changing worldviews and maybe what's the word? Indoctrinating young people into cult-like realms. So it's like a mess. But like I said, it's hard, I think, to grasp just how much content gets made in 1 minute, how much gets uploaded in 1 minute. So I applaud YouTube for how much they're trying to keep up with it and be a part of, fixing the issues. But yeah, it's a whole different world. I mean, back in the day, you knew every YouTuber, and I feel like I knew everyone. Now there's like whole genres of YouTube that I don't even know exist that have billions of views. So it is outpaced what I think the creators of YouTube thought it could be. It is a great place for education, but also it can be a really negative place. So my stance is I just try to uplift the things that I would want to see and the things that I think are good and important and help make the world better. And I don't really participate in like the assholes of the internet side of YouTube. Yeah, what do you think of the new YouTube?
I don't know, I mean, like, I was like super duper young when it started, so I was like,
How old are you?
I'm 20.
Same. Wow, we have so much in common. Yeah, I get it. It's a whole different world, and to have grown up with not just YouTube but the internet, it is a whole different world from what our parents are used to, and even what I'm used to, and who knows what like our younger siblings will have. Like TikTok is brand new, and it just feels so like a part of all of our lives. Who knows what it will be in 10 years?
Tyler, are you on TikTok?
Technically, I have a TikTok account. I don't know what's going on the internet. But I think my biggest takeaway is the internet is what we make of it, and if you are participating, try your best to put out good stuff, make good stuff, say good stuff, be a part of like the good part of the internet, because the negative, terrible, garbage side of the internet is really loud, and I think it's on all of us to make the good side of it really loud too.
Cool. How are we doing for time? You think more questions or we're good? All right.
One more, Sheena.
One more. You pick.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Brooklyn.
Hi, Brooklyn.
You were talking earlier about catering your social media to get different points of view and such. Do you do the same thing with the journalism you consume, and how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things, okay, so I love the Stairmaster at the gym, and it's got like 10 TVs, and it's always got every kind of news going on. And while, of course, I'll want to find the Stairmaster that's like in front of what I would want to watch, I also think, okay, it might not be the worst thing in the world to see what the other side of the world is thinking or talking about. And it's actually kind of nice because it has all of the different news in a row, so I can see, CNN, MSNBC, like everyone talking about impeachment, and then there's Fox News talking about whatever they're talking about. But at least it gives me context for like what is important to maybe my grandma and what she's being fed in her brain. So yeah, that's a one way. But like I said, my favorite thing is NPR. I feel like it does a good job of giving me the facts and letting me come to my own conclusions about them. Because right now I feel like there are so many voices and so many opinions, it's so oversaturated, to find genuine perspectives that are just trying to get the facts out there, that's really helpful for me. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? What was your name again? Brooklyn. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much, guys.
We did it. Thank you. What's up with you here? I'm not in charge.
Who's in charge either?
You're in charge.
All right, so that's gonna wrap up our event for the day. If you're part of the Daily Iowans, stick around. If not, we're so happy to have had you here. Thank you, guys.